This podcast is a celebration of women who are shaping culture, influencing the world, and boldly stepping into the entertainment industry to create God-honoring content across all media platforms. I'm your host, Shari Rigby. Grab your coffee, settle in, and join me for an inspiring ride. Hey everyone, I am so excited to have one of my friends with us today. She is a woman who is boldly stepping out, both in storytelling and leadership. She is on and off the screen doing incredible things, and I can't wait to talk with her today. Venus Monique is an award-winning actress and producer, best known for her role as Detective Chris Tanner, who I absolutely love, in the internationally recognized crime drama Vindication. She's also the founder of the Personal Powerhouse and the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite, where she equips Christian actresses to build their careers with both excellence and integrity. As a producer with K. Russo Productions, her recent film Daisy has already received multiple awards and nominations across the festival circuit. And she continues to develop new projects that reflect both creativity and purpose. In this season, Venus is not only acting and producing, but also building community, speaking into the lives of women in the industry, and helping shape the next generation of faith-filled creatives. Please welcome my friend, Venus Monique.
Yeah.
Hi, friend. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm so glad to be on.
I'm actually really excited because you and I just had some time together at the Christian Worldview. And that particular conference for me, the Christian Worldview Film Festival, I should say, is one of those that really not only brings our faith together, but just this community to come around and go, we have to make sure that it's about our faith first and our relationships next, and then the career that God has in front of us. So I thought maybe you and I could just dive in and talk a little bit about that particular conference that you and I got to see each other at, and how did it impact you?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I really enjoy going to each year if I can make it, because truly, like you said, it is about God first, and they are very clear about that. And
Yeah.
then because of that, we're all on the same page. We all get to see each other, and we're all on this journey, but loving Jesus at the forefront of all of it. So
Yeah.
it's such a nice refresher at the beginning of the year.
I love it. I know. For me, it's like I get in that seat and I start to think about all the things that are going on during that week and all the people that I have to see. And then all of a sudden I realize how cool it is that God's like, nope, I have so many other things lined up for you. And that's always what happens. So, but it was so good to see you there. So, and spend a little bit of time with you.
I agree.
I want to dive in and talk because you've got so many things happening, but you now have a production company, which I
Mhm.
love. I can't wait to talk a little bit about that and about just everything that you're building. So you're building now a business, which I consider just, that gets really busy really quick. You're acting, you're producing, you're leading a community of women, and you're speaking into women's lives. And so I think that I would love to kind of tap into thinking through those things and ask you, when did you feel like as you were stepping into these different places and spaces that you weren't just stepping into a career, but you were actually stepping into a calling on your life?
Yeah, it's so funny because it morphed, because what I'm doing now is not at all what I started doing. It was life skills, and then that just kind of morphed into mentoring young ladies, which then morphed into mentoring adult Christian actresses. And so it's all just been like, man, I had no idea that God was going to take it this direction, but I'm just open to whatever he wants to do. And as I continue serving in the current area that I think I'm supposed to serve, he just kind of gently goes, actually, now that you're on the path, I'm going to guide you this way. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that.
Okay. I love that. I remember when I was living in Los Angeles, I was on the 405 one day and nobody wants to ever be on the 405. And I remember so specifically that the Lord just kept showing me that here was this huge highway in front of me. And he kept showing me this highway and saying, if you allow me to,
Hmm.
I'm going to take you and I am going to allow you to navigate each one of the lanes that I've called you to. And it's basically going to be through this process that you are going to move in and out of these lanes as I take you through this process. Sometimes it might be the slower lane, sometime it might be the medium, and sometime it might be the faster, or you might be gridlocked and you might be just stationary. And I thought, wow. That's really amazing. And how do we navigate that when God calls us into so many different areas of this industry? And so I love that you've just stepped in and you said, okay, Lord, just take it away. Share a little bit about the journey that has taken you through this process, because I know you started as an actress and taken you from an actress to where you're at today in this season that you're walking in. Give us a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah. So never wanted to do acting at all. I tried it in high school, not because I wanted to try it, but because I was told no for modeling. And I was like, okay, but they offered acting. So I was like, well, I'll try that. Never thought about it before. Hated it. Did it for a year. Hated all of it. It was never going to be my thing. And then in college, God told me to do it. And so then I jumped on that and I was like, all right, well, if this is what you blatantly told me to do, I need to take classes, get a coach, get an agent, all these things. So I moved and did the whole acting thing, really moved to Austin in about 2010, which is when I got serious, even though I did a few things before that. And then acting just turned into more acting, which eventually I got booked on this series, which is amazing. And then that turned into wanting to make sure that other women in the industry knew that they could stand up for themselves and set boundaries and be okay sharing those boundaries, which then led to wanting to mentor young Christian actresses, which then led to the ladies. So it's just been like, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not just an actor, which then led to that young lady group where I met my producing partners. So now then I'm producing and then also entrepreneur. And it's like, wow, who would have thought? Only God. But like I said, it's like as I continue to move forward, he just opens doors and opens opportunities. And I just trust that it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. So I just walk it.
I love that he starts us one way, and every time we say yes to something that he's called us to, it is bigger and better than we could have ever anticipated. Through that and the season of where you started to where you're at now, I think this question is one that I ask everyone that's on the show is how do you define success? And I
Yeah.
think that's such a powerful question. So I would ask you, how do you define success?
I think to me, it would be obedience is number one. Did God call you to do something and are you doing the thing? Or are you just kind of trying to do your own works and your own effort and kind of hearing what he said, but doing your own thing that's comfortable? So for me, it's obedience. It's doing what he told me to do because I'm on this earth to serve him. And then secondly, for me, and this may not be for everyone, but for me, it's maxing out the potential that he gave me. All the gifts, the talents, everything is, am I using all of that he gave me to give back and to do, in the Bible, the parable of the talents, like he gave us all different gifts and how are we using those? And to me, I just want to use everything he gave me. And what can we do, God, with all the stuff that you gave to me? What can we do together? And what impact can be made because of those gifts that you gave me? So those are the two that I would define success with.
I love that. No, that's so good. I think obedience is really such a key. And then stepping in and going, how can I use everything that you've given me, God, for the kingdom and for your glory? I was listening to a message actually this morning, and the pastor was talking about after the Lord rose from the dead. He says, it's going to be better for me to leave so that I can leave you with the Holy Spirit, right? Basically. And so that you can do far more in your life, right? And I think that we so forget that here's the Lord saying, I've got to go so that you can actually do more than I am doing here on this earth. And we forget that. How do we tap into that? How do we use everything that he's given us for his glory?
Mhm.
And I know you experienced this. I get really excited because I think about, and I want to talk about Vindication because being on set as a believer, I think is such a gift. But, I know that the viewers right now and the listeners, they're going, this is Detective Chris Tanner from Vindication. And I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey with auditioning for Vindication. How has this series changed your life? And what maybe has been something that really has affected you on set? And also, where is Detective Chris Tanner going today? Because everybody wants to know what's next.
Yeah. So auditioning for it, interestingly, I was offered it in the beginning. So Jared, the writer and director, it was just a short film in the beginning, and he put the short film through festivals. And me trying to be more involved in the Christian film world, I was actually a host at a Christian film festival. And so Jared, when he came, somehow I think he saw that I had won the Best Actress award the year prior. So he started snooping on me. And by the time that he came to the festival, he said that he felt like he already knew me because he had watched all of my YouTube videos and just these things that I had been doing to try to build my career. So whenever he got there, he knew that he wanted me for the role. And then, but he didn't know it was actually going to turn into a series. He was hopeful. So when time came around, he did ask me to audition just to make sure that I wanted it. But I think he said no, he didn't ask anybody else because the role was already mine. He just wanted to confirm. That was great. It was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like this role that is so much fun. And, I get to do all these things as this character. So that turned into just this wonderful series that is God at the core of it, and very not overtly at all, very subtle. It points people to Jesus, but the stories are so good. The twists and the turns and the crime drama without the gore and without the violence and all of this. It's just been such a joy to be a part of. And then you ask, like, what's something that stood out on set? For me would be just seeing the leadership on set. And I continue to say this to the guys too, because Jared being the writer and the director, Ron Gonzalez being the DP, and then Todd Terry being the lead actor. Those guys, their countenance, their demeanor, the way that they handle everything, it speaks volumes. And it actually, whether or not they realize it, impacts the set. And because the way they handle stress, the way they handle, just all kinds of issues, if you will, you don't feel it from them. Our set is so peaceful. It's so kind. Non-believers who book roles and come on set, like they have verbalized the feel and how different it feels to be there. So it's been such a joy to just be a part of and then see it continuing, God, like continuing to move it forward. And then with Chris Tanner, so Jared has written me so much fun. He has written like really big emotional ranges, which is like, I think as actors, we all want to play that. I'm so grateful for, I think the first 2 seasons or 3 seasons, I told Jared after a while, I was like, can somebody else like go through the hard times? This want like a little bit of a break. Like, I love it. And then I think for a season, he didn't write me any hard times. And I was like, maybe I'm okay with actually like bring those back because that's where the fun is. So the arc of Chris Tanner has just been detective to, well, it's been trainee to detective to brokenhearted to in love and just all these various components of a human. And it's been so fun to play.
Well, and I love that there's so many women in my world, your world, that are on that set, Marianne Holland and others. And you just have this beautiful team of people. And I love Jared and just the storylines. And Todd Terry to me is just, he's just a pillar of, I think about as an actor, but just as a human being. And so it just so many great things. I think that Vindication is one of those series that people just really went, we need more of this kind of content. And so I hope that Chris Tanner continues on and the storyline for Vindication. I think that's my favorite role, thought process of detectives and crime stories and how do we do it and do it really well, which leads me into, of course, doing it really well is also you're producing. You are a businesswoman here. I mean, you're a businesswoman as an actress too, right? Because that's what so many people forget about is the business side of it. But I want to talk a little bit about also the journey where you went from actress to stepping in. You mentioned about your producing partners. Where did that start? And what's the vision that you feel like God is bestowing upon you and your producing partners as you start to tap into content, especially in today's culture? And what do you believe is so important about the content that we're creating today for the culture?
We started because the mentors that I had for that young sisterhood that I had started, it was so funny. Around the same time, somebody was mentioning something about how we should all produce together. And then it was like, yeah, we should. Well, then the story came up and it was a true story that happened to one of the mentor's nephews. And she shared that with us. And it was like, oh, my goodness. And she said, I really just want to, put this on my phone and like get it out there because it's such a good story. And then it grew into what if we actually produce this into a short film? And so it was an open invitation in the community of, hey, whoever wants to help tell this story, join us on Zoom. And just the 3 of us kept showing up. And so myself, Sharon Lanier, and Stephanie Danielle, so we created our production company and we spent time on the operations, the legal side, the LLC, just all of this stuff about what does it mean to actually build this together.
Yeah.
And so then we got into producing that and telling that story and actually it's at the end of the film festival circuit. So we're about to release it, but just a beautiful movie that's truth. And regardless of the situation that you're in, the message that God gives this man for this girl, it's just it hits your heart and everyone needs to hear it. And that's like why we wanted to get it out there. And so our film also deals with spiritual warfare and just deceit and all of
Mm,
that kind of like, what is truth? What is right? And there's a whole other element to it that we want to build alongside of it, which I won't get into, but it's spiritual warfare. But as far as the content that we want to produce, we want to talk about the hard things. We don't want to do sunshine and rainbow stories. We actually want to do the things that are difficult to tell, but also
mhm,
because of that, they point to Jesus and his goodness. And so we played with the idea of just telling true stories because there are so many beautiful true stories that God has made himself known. And then there are some that are fiction stories that would make a good drama, but we just kind of I think we're teetering on the side of what has God already done in people's lives and how can
mm.
we tell that to more of the world and impact them as well?
Yeah. No, I love that. I think projects like that is really what shows redemption, restoration. And so often, what we need to really focus on too is the preparation. God doesn't leave people just hanging out there. He does such a good work in people's lives. And to see the redemption, to see that restoration, those are the stories that people, I think, really want to be part of. They want to listen to, they want to watch, they want to, because I think being storytellers, especially as creative storytellers and Christ followers, we as well see that through a biblical lens and all of the lives that were changed, not only in the word of the Lord, but also in today's culture. I mean, every time I read about one of the Bible heroes, I go, I can see a piece of my life, or I can recognize that. And those were gritty stories, not gratuitous in a lot of ways, but a lot of ways gratuitous in some, but they were gritty, but they are the redeeming stories that allow all of us to step into a place to go, man, that was me. I've given my life to Christ, or maybe I need to give my life to Christ, or whatever those messages provoke and evoke through the audiences, that are watching it. So I love that you guys are doing that. Do you feel like you ladies are tapping into something right now for the culture and generations? Do you see something where you're spending more time shifting to like Generation Z? Is it Generation X? Do you feel like it's across the board, or is it just really based on the heart of the story and what you're telling, and hopefully that'll connect with all audiences?
Yeah, we don't think of it in terms of generations, but we do think in terms of the latter. So the story and who it's going to impact. And we know that each story actually may impact a different generation. In fact, the one that we want to produce next is incredible in so many ways, incredible on a disbelief level, like the abuse that this girl experienced, and then incredible in the beautiful ways of like God showed up like that. Oh my goodness. And it's just got all of these elements to it that would make it so beautiful and raw and just impactful in a lot of ways, but it's also at the same time very difficult to tell. Very difficult because of the truth that is in it and because of the experiences that this girl went through. So we know that we have to be careful in the way that we tell that because we want to reach certain audiences. And we don't, again, going back to we don't know what generation, but we do know that there are other people hurting like this woman hurt, and yet she still believes and has joy in who Jesus is. So that is the message that we want to tell with that one.
I love it. I love it. Well, it sounds like you have a great slate of projects lined up that you're all ready to tell. And you have these two other powerhouses alongside of you that are doing great things in the industry that bring such powerful voices to the work. And so I just keep thinking, man, you're spinning so many plates. Is there one that you feel most connected to right now? Is there anything where you feel like, okay, the Lord is like, okay, I'm going to give it all to you, but I need you to focus on this one for this moment?
Yeah, I talk with God about this a lot because I wake up thinking about business. I have to very intentionally say, okay, I'm having my production meeting with God. I'm not doing anything else. I'm opening my Bible because even while I'm reading my Bible and learning, my brain is on the things that I need to do to grow the business. And I could literally talk about business all day. If I just could be around the people and just brainstorm and mastermind and do the next thing and do the next thing, that's where that is my core, where I'm like, okay, God, I will do all of the things and I will let you take care of the acting because I just want to talk about entrepreneurship and read books and build. So yeah, that's kind of where the main focus is.
I love it. I'm watching your countenance right now, and you've got this great smile and there's an excitement. I do think there's something about it when you go, okay, God, you're taking me into this place, and there's a level of excitement to it that you get to put your hands to. I'm the same way. I love talking about business. I love talking about vision. I love talking about all these things. And, I could spend 24/7 on just that because I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the people that I get to work with every day. That's so good. It's so good. And then my husband reminds me that, it'd be really nice to spend some time together.
Right. I know. Same.
So I'm always like, okay, balance, balance. You had so many great quotes, just brilliant. But one of the quotes that you shared with us is that there isn't a person you wouldn't love if you could read their story. And I want to talk a little bit about, because that's what you and I are talking about right now, not only being an actress, but now also producing and creating content. How has that shaped you and the way that you approach acting and the characters you play? Also, how has it informed you in the stories that you want to tell?
I absolutely love that quote because I think it immediately takes away judgment and it's more about understanding. And I think understanding is so key in relationships, and people are who they are because of what they've experienced. And most of them were trying to do their best with the things that were put on their plate from the beginning. And so there's not a person you wouldn't love if you could read their story. And I think that just Jesus knows their story. He knows the battles they dealt and are currently dealing with. And so if we can remember that and we can see through his eyes, like, yes, they were super rude to you. Yes, they were short. Yes, they were doing X, Y, Z, but you don't know the rest of it. And not that it justifies it, but at least it gives you a reason as to why they are doing the things that they're doing. And so, I don't know that it quite informs my acting or anything. I guess maybe it does in the way that I do homework because my character is who she is because of what she's experienced in the past. And so I create those pretend memories that I want to create for that character in order to get her to where she is today. Why does she feel this way? Okay, well, I'm going to create a memory that happened to her or that a conversation she had so that my character now feels this genuinely because she has that memory of that conversation that stung so badly. And so that's probably, I never thought about connecting the two, but that's probably how they inform each other.
No, I love that. I love that because I do think that when we tell people's stories, whether we're producing, directing, writing, acting in them, there's this level of we're telling a story and we want people to connect with something that is being told through that character or to relate with that character. And I think it's so important that people do find different elements in a character that they can relate to. Most people do. Hey friends, if you're enjoying today's episode, we'd love your support. Hit like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, which helps us grow the channel that directly supports the women in my world and our mission to develop, educate, and launch Christian women in the entertainment and media industry. Every action you take truly makes a difference in our ministry. And now we'd like to share a brief video about the heart and mission behind the women in my world. Thank you for being a part of this incredible journey with us. Hi, I'm Shari Rigby, the founder of the Women in My World. Our goal is simple but powerful. We focus on developing, educating, and launching Christian women in entertainment and media. Our aim is to train up emerging talent, empower them to craft impactful, God-honoring content across various platforms, and contribute to positive global change through leadership roles. We invest in women by providing opportunities to learn essential skills in their desired field. Through hands-on education and on-the-job training, we build a community of like-minded women who shepherd others to grow and flourish in their careers. The Women in My World has helped support and launch women into key positions, such as producers, script supervisors, production and costume designers, directors, makeup and hair artists, and so many more. These women have gone on to expand their resumes and their relationships, which have provided opportunities to work on major network television shows and feature films. Due to the small percentage of Christian women in decision-making roles in entertainment, believers must invest in their training, mentoring, and discipleship. These women can then become a voice to change in the negative narratives influencing our culture and shed light on topics we desperately need to tackle from a biblical worldview. The Women in My World is honored to help support women and their careers in entertainment and media as they bring redemptive stories to life and uplift, encourage, and influence the world for Christ.
How does your faith guide the kind of stories that you say yes or no to? And talk a little bit about that. And then has there been a project that you walked away from because it just didn't align with your faith and your values?
Yeah. It's a two-part thing because my faith and my boundaries that I have. So sometimes the thing is just a boundary issue. It's not a faith issue. And sometimes I think I've had very few where it's a faith issue. It's more of a, hey, that's not the when God told me to do acting, one of the first things I did was write down what I will and won't do. This was before I was married. This is before anything, because I knew that if God told me to do this, it's going to go far. And I know what happens, or at least what seems to happen to those who go far in the industry and how the issues that they end up dealing with. And so I thought, okay, well, I need to protect myself in the beginning. If I know this is the future, then what am I not going to do before I'm tempted by money or opportunities or fame or like whatever it is, the connection? What are these things that are already true to me that I will stand by? So I wrote those down in red ink, and they're my guidelines. And so there have been many opportunities, auditions, offers that I have said no to because they don't line up with what's on my list. And I've even been fired from, I was Jennifer Garner's stand-in for a feature film. In one of the scenes, stand-in had to, and it wasn't Jennifer this day, but I was standing in for another brunette, and that brunette straddled a guy on the bed. I'm like, not gonna do that. Like, just not gonna do it. So I put my legs together on one side of him, but still hovered my face to where the actor's face was. And later that day, I got a call from my agent. There was whispers behind me, all of that. I got fired. The next day, my agent called me back and told me production actually wants me. And so it was like, wow, God, thank you. Like, I didn't have to do that thing. I gave them, what they, so there were just instances like that where I was offered a lead role in a great comedy, loved it. They're my buddies, but they wanted physical intimacy. And I was like, guys, like, I don't do that. I thought you guys knew that, but they didn't know that. They didn't want to change their mind. I was going to change my mind. So I gave that away too. And so many instances where like, we'd love to book you and here's the rest of it. And I'm like, oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for considering me, but that's actually not my cup of tea. I hope you guys find the right actress. Well, it's unfortunate in the fact that you don't get all the opportunities you could have, but fortunate in the fact that you always are content with the decisions that you made, because I can look back and be grateful for all the things that I turned down, even though my journey to success is kind of like blah, 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 it's up, but it's a lot of down. And I'm just still grateful that I don't really have many regrets in the industry. And that does come with turning stuff down.
Well, but I think also what you said, and it was so great, is you said that you set the standards before you went into it. So when those projects came across, those were already set. And so I think that's where people get into situations that they don't have boundaries. They don't really understand, what do they believe in? How do they believe this is going to work for them, whether single or married? What are these values according to being a Christ follower? All of those things. And when we set those boundaries in place, it makes it so much easier to say yes or no to, because we've already set the standard. I have people who ask me all the time, and I think it's so interesting. They'll say, well, don't you want to go out and do more than what you've done? Don't you want to get out of the faith space? Don't you want to do, And I always go back to them and I said, we're just living in a culture today that there are so many things that are against my values and against what it would be for me as a Christ follower, that I already know what my boundaries are. And the unfortunate thing is that most of the time we don't get a script to tell us what is ahead of us. And so we have to know going into that. And so there's been so many opportunities that have come that I've said, you know what, here are my boundaries. Here's what I know could happen. And I have to say no to it. I'll never forget, Venus. I don't know if you know this about me or not, but this was a really interesting one years and years and years ago. Well, I loved smoking cigarettes years ago in my life. Like that was like my, thing. Cup of coffee and a, cigarette was like pure joy. And so it was a situation for me. Well, after, as I was having my kids, I ended up, quitting, giving that up. I've given my life to Christ, all these things. Well, as I got into the industry, right after I had booked my first job, very shortly thereafter, I was presented with a huge deal to become the first Marlboro woman. And I will never, ever forget that moment, because it was this like, what? And then it was, what? I mean, it was this like, can you believe that this has happened? And I just remember standing there as I was looking at my son at the point at that time, and he looked at me and he was like, you can't do that, showing people smoking. And I just thought, oh my goodness. And it was really a moment for me to reflect on and go back and go, everything has to be set within my boundaries, my values, and what do I want to take with me generationally, even for those who know me, you know? And so today, when people ask me certain questions, I'll say, no, you know what? Because I am in no better place than on holy ground where God has placed me. The projects He's given me are the projects that I'm supposed to have. And if I'm not, that's okay too. But I'm content.
And that is huge because if you hadn't decided all of those things prior, if you hadn't had this deep conviction, oh my goodness, it's like, sure, maybe you would have done the Marlboro commercial, but when you look back, there probably would have been tinges of little bits of regret. Why did I do that? The paycheck was great and the acknowledgement was great, but is it worth it on what your heart feels on that level? And that's one of the first things that I tell girls or like the ladies that come into my community whenever they're wanting to, or anybody that asks for advice about how to get started as an actor. I'm like, number one, write your boundaries down. And I find that a lot of women, especially married women, are like, well, I wouldn't kiss because my husband. And I'm like, yeah, but what about you as an individual? I mean, do you like this shouldn't be a reason just because you're married? Is it something like for me, it was determined before I married. I'm not just gonna be kissing 42 dudes just because the script calls for it. I don't need to be kissing a lot of guys and feeling their lips on my lips, but just having those in place so that when temptations like that huge commercial come up,
Mhm.
then it's already easier to decide.
Absolutely. Well, and that leads me to talk about because you're talking about something that is so needed, which is the community that you're building. And so you created the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite. And I guess I would love to talk a little bit more about that because you just shared, hey, there's a gap there that these young ladies or ladies in general who are going into this industry need to be able to talk about and need some help to define how they're going to step into the industry. So talk a little bit about the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite and how this came about and what are you doing and what are your hopes as you continue to navigate this? Because I know there's so many actresses out there that are looking for somebody to help equip them through the process as they walk out this journey.
Yeah, that was one of those things that morphed into now teaching the business of acting to Christian actresses because it started with young actresses and just wanting to make sure they knew how to say no. But then so many women wanted to join my young actress group. And I thought, well, I'm not going to merge the two, but if there's enough desire for an adult actress group, then I'll do that. My goodness, Shari, I got flooded with so many women wanting to join that group. Like I don't admit everyone, there's a little bit of a qualification process, but it has been such a life-giving group, even for me. And a lot of it has started because I had to go about this industry alone. God told me to do it. I had no connections. I had no mentors. I didn't know anything about it, wasn't even interested in it. So everything for me was figuring it out, doing it by myself, trial and error, spending money on this and spending money on that. And I just thought, there's a lot of coaches out there, but I don't know people that teach the business side of acting. And also, where do these girls go when they feel like, I want to say no to this, but I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing? And I'm like, dude, come in here and we are going to applaud you when you say no to stuff like that. When you actually stand by your convictions, like we're so happy for you. So it's just been a wonderful community that continues to grow. The ladies that just the support, like it's genuine support and cheerleading in there. And also my biggest thing is wanting women to feel like they have a backbone to stand up for themselves or in any situation without feeling like they're hurting somebody's feelings or somebody's not going to like them. I'm just like, no, just if you want to stand up for yourself, stand up for yourself. And you can do it tactfully and you can do it professionally, but don't succumb to other people's desires of you simply because you're afraid to say no.
Yeah, that is so good. That is so, I mean, it's so life-giving. I think there's such this fear and anxiety in saying no to something that maybe you're going to miss out or maybe something else won't come along. But man, I tell you what, I think great because it's really allowing others to step in, be that strong and courageous and do things that they can feel like there is value and they have the integrity to walk away from something that would not be good for them. Sometimes we don't see it right in the moment, but we do see it when we can look back and go, that really was the best decision. What do you think that Christian actresses are struggling with the most right now in the culture that we're living in with today? And how do you help to navigate some of those things that they're struggling with?
I think a lot of it are roles that don't jive with who they are, the stories that they want to tell. And it kind of just goes back to what we were just saying of finally found an opportunity. I finally fit the criteria. It's really well paid,
Mm.
but I don't know that I want to tell that story. And I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to. And I know that a lot of women don't want to give up that opportunity. And that's the hard part because we fight so hard to get a yes that when we finally get a yes, we don't want to tell ourselves no. And so it's just like, it's okay that like whenever there's actually, I just changed my computer background the other day because I love this. It says, imagine how Jesus feels when he sees you doing the right thing, knowing it wasn't easy for you, but you still chose to honor him. And I absolutely love that. And I think a lot of women are just, they fight for the opportunity and they don't want to pass it up, by their own efforts. And so it makes me sad for them that there aren't more opportunities out there, but it's a giant pool of people auditioning for the same thing. So, we can't book everything, but saying no is, if it's going to feel better in the long run, then it's totally worth it.
Well, and I love too that you're creating content now. I think that's one thing that we've really stepped into with the Women in My World is saying, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to put women to work. We're going to educate them. We're going to disciple them. And we're actually going to give them the skills, the onset training. But we're going to create content that honors God, honors the storytellers that are telling it. And we're going to start to create roles that really do give them opportunity. And I think that's what you're doing as well. And I think we just have to be in a position where we have been called to step out into something to create those roles that are really God honoring roles for the men and women that God has called to this industry. And if we don't do it, then who will?
Yeah.
It's really what so many of us are up against on a regular basis. I know for myself, when I came up in the industry, there wasn't anybody really around and the faith world was just kind of kicking. I mean, I remember when I got I was doing the music video for the Casting Crowns when Fireproof was being made. And so it was really an interesting time because we were just starting to see this process happen in the faith world. And so I'm just really excited to see what God is doing. And I know that you're getting ready to do something also coming up in 2027 that is going to be off the charts and amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Can we share a little bit about that?
Yes, we absolutely can. I'm so excited.
Yay! Okay, good. Good.
So it is a Christian actress conference. And from the research that I've done, there is no other Christian actress conference happening. There's not been one. And I'm just like, huh. And this was another thing where I let the ladies in my community repeatedly tell me that they wanted this before I just started creating it. So after a few ladies saying, hey, we should have this, we should have this, we should have this, I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So 4 of us have been building it. And we're so excited because it goes back to the business of acting. There's so many techniques out there. Like you can find acting coaches everywhere. So we're really focused on you being the CEO of your acting career and what are all the different things you need to know. So we've got some amazing speakers locked in. We've got a beautiful venue that's perfect. We're going to be in Houston, Texas. So it's like center of the country. In Texas, of course, a little south, but we're beyond excited for the schedule that is lined out. I mean, a lot of the thinking that is behind it, because it's for actresses building it, we're like, we've attended these conferences and these festivals and they typically don't have this or they don't have that or they don't have that. And we're like, let's put it in ours. We know what we need. We know what we wish somebody would have taught. So we're building that and it's so exciting. So we're just over a year away and we'll be launching registration, I think, next month.
Yay. Okay. Well, you'll have to let us know. So everybody who's listening and part of our community that we can share that with, because I think this is such a fantastic idea and it's such a need. I mean, it's one of those things I know for myself in the conferences that I've gone to. I'm like, well, if I go to another conference again and I don't hear this or I don't get this or I don't, it's a foreign thing. And especially I think for the for the actresses. It was funny. I did a conference for a university not long ago, and it was funny because as the time went on throughout the weekend, there were actually more females in attendance to the conference than there were males. But there were more males on the platforms teaching and talking than it was me.
Yeah.
And
Funny.
so it was a really interesting group to be a part of, because, and I was so honored to be there, but I can see how, with as time went on, but what we calculated was there were actually more female attendees than there were males. And so it was really thinking through like, well, what are we missing for these women? And they were of all ages, and it was at a college. So I think that what you're getting ready to launch is going to be massive. I'm so excited for you and I'm praying over it. It's going to be fantastic. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And keep us posted on it because we definitely want to share here with the women in my world and the called as creatives, because I know you're going to have a lot of those women who are going to show up to support you, sponsor, and then be a part of it. Anybody who's listening today, watching, the women who are sitting there going, I want to do what Venus is doing. I want an opportunity to step into something what I believe that God has called me to do. What would you say to that particular woman now? And how would you encourage her with maybe 3 steps that she could take through the process of stepping into something in the called as creatives to really step into and do what she believes that God is asking of her?
I think one of the first things that comes to mind is don't let fear override what God told you to do. Don't let fear of judgment, fear of not knowing, fear of not having the proper education for what it is God told you to do. Because that's what Satan wants to use is you don't have the resources, you don't have the connections, you don't have the understanding, you don't have this, that, and the other. You're not qualified. So you're afraid to move forward. But if God told you to do this thing, if he laid it heavy on your heart, then one, don't let fear, but also just to override that fear is pray and fast. And for me, fasting has been monumental, especially when there are things that God's calling me to do. And I'm like, either, Lord, like, I don't know if I'm hearing you properly, or 2, I don't understand how this is going to work. And I fast, and God is just so good. And man gives me that peace and speaks something to me. And it's not every single time, but most fasts, he just shows up. And so if you haven't fasted, that'd be the number one thing that I say is fast and make sure that it's from God and not from yourself. Don't let fear stop you. And then also I heard this quote of don't be the first to tell yourself no. If there's an opportunity that's in front of you, don't talk yourself out of it like we so often do. Even myself, I'll do that sometimes, but just move forward in it and see what happens. Like we were talking about earlier, it's amazing what can come on the other side of you saying yes, and more opportunities and more doors can open. So yeah, I guess that would be the 3 things is fast, don't let fear stop you, and then make sure that you're not telling yourself no. And then get training. YouTube University is amazing. That's how I've done pretty much my entire journey.
I know. I'm like, YouTube, you are brilliant and amazing. And I have a full scale education
Yes,
and
totally.
everything I need. I
Yeah.
love those. Tell everybody how to stay connected with you, how to find you. I know you're going to have women who are going to be looking to be part of the Powerhouse Sisterhood suite. How do women find you and how can they stay connected to the journey that you're on?
Yeah, for me, it's so funny. Best place for me is Facebook. I have Instagram, but I'm not as active there. So Facebook, just my name, and then my company on there too. And then I send out emails that have a lot of behind the scenes. So like the registration for the conference will go to my email list first. And the Powerhouse Sisterhood suite, it opens for a while and then it closes for a long time because I like to help enrich the quality of the relationships in there, not just have a bunch of ladies in there. So I'll be opening it again this summer, and then that will be notified to my email list first, and then on Facebook and social media.
That's so great. Well, before we leave you, quickly tell us what is next for you and how can we be praying for you as you take and step into this new thing?
Yeah, I would say 3 prayers would be great. One, I'm producing a feature with Justin Overlander and Tyler Sansom this fall, and I'm so excited about it, or maybe like late summer. So excited about that. So prayer, everything that every movie needs prayer for there. And then the second thing would be what I'm doing with my production partners. So K. Russo Productions, the monumental story I was talking about earlier, how to bring this woman's story to life. There's a lot to it. So prayer for wisdom and clarity. And then the third thing would be the conference, because we've never done this before. I'm reaching out to friends who have done conferences and I'm like, how do you guys handle this? What do y'all typically use for this? And so prayer around that. God has already brought us incredible speakers. He's continuing to open doors. Sponsors is a new thing for us. So just prayer on all of that would be amazing and so appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, count the women in my world in to help you however we can and sponsor and step in to do whatever it is that you need. We'll be praying for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. You are truly a woman of God, and I am just so excited to see what the Lord is going to do with you and how He's going to continue to navigate you. You are truly leaving a legacy behind you, and I just am so encouraged by who you are and how you continue to navigate this thing called entertainment and media, but really first and foremost as a woman of faith, as a Christ follower, and as a woman who is really intentionally putting forward to be in other women's lives. And that to me is such an encouragement. So thank you for joining me today, Venus. Thank you for all the things that you're doing in this industry. I cannot wait to continue to cheer you on.
Thank you, Shari. And thank you for all of this and all that you do to impact women. It's beautiful to watch.
We hope today's episode inspired you. If it did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with somebody in your world so we can reach more and more amazing women in entertainment and media. We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a comment below. Your support truly means the world to us, and it helps us keep doing this important work. Also, don't miss out on signing up for our newsletter, and you get our acting prep guide for free. It's packed with tips to help you step into your purpose. If you feel led, also please consider donating to support our ministry. All the links are in the show notes below. We can't wait to hear from you to join us next time.
Blessing in disguise.